Before any true transformation can occur, you must first vanish. Not from the world, but from the state you once occupied. You must disappear from doubt, from limitation, from the identity you've rehearsed unconsciously. This is the beginning of all great becoming. You ask, how do I become something new? The answer is this: you do not become, you assume. You forsake what you were for what you have chosen to be. And in that sacred inner act, the world rearranges itself accordingly. This is not self-improvement. It is self-replacement. It is the conscious burial of the old man and the resurrection of the new. 1. The death of the old self. Transformation begins with a funeral. The quiet burial of the old assumptions that ruled your world. Neville said, "Die to the old man. That old man is not your flesh. It is the identity you have carried. Broke, unloved, rejected, sick, small. When you stop feeding the old state with attention, it withers. It no longer finds a home in you. Stop identifying with your past, your wounds, your limitations. They were real only because you believed them. Now, you choose to disappear from that version of yourself. Do not make the mistake of negotiating with the old self. It has nothing left to offer you but recycled suffering. Its stories, its logic, its so-called evidence, all of it is a hall of mirrors built to preserve what no longer serves you. The moment you cease to give life to that identity through memory, retelling, and inner commentary, it begins to die. It is starved of attention. And attention is the lifeblood of any state. Let the past slip through your fingers. It is only held in place by your agreement with it. Neville never told you to fight the old state. He told you to ignore it, to turn entirely from it, and move into the new. That is the secret. Not force, but focus. Not effort, but assumption. And here is the mystery. When you let the old version of yourself die, the world reacts. You will notice subtle shifts. People speak to you differently. Opportunities arise. Circumstances seem to bend themselves to your new inner state. Because they must. For you are the operant power, the projector, and the world, your screen. Do not wait for conditions to approve your new self. Assume it. Embody it. Bury the former version of yourself not with grief, but with reverence. It taught you what you no longer are. The death of the old self is not a loss, but a resurrection. What you lay to rest in imagination, you raise anew in conviction. That is the first step in true identity shifting, the glorious disappearing act that precedes the miracle. You do not mourn who you were. You celebrate who you now are. 2. The art of inner rebirth. To be born again is not a ritual. It is an inward act of radical assumption. You assume the new identity, and you feel it as true. Neville taught, you must enter the state and dwell in it. Imagine what it feels like to be your ideal self. Not next year. Now. Breathe like her. Walk like him. Think like the person who already has what you desire. This is not pretense. It is preparation, creation, alignment. You are not pretending to be someone else. You are awakening the truest version of you, the version that has been buried beneath years of conditioning. Inner rebirth is not a matter of becoming something foreign. It is the unveiling of who you really are. You were never meant to remain small. You were born with divine power wrapped in imagination. The moment you assume the new identity, even in the silence of your own mind, a ripple begins in the fabric of your reality. To enter a new state, you must feel it first, more deeply than you felt your doubts. Feel the confidence of the new you, the poise, the peace. Let it color your imagination until it becomes more real to you than the evidence of the senses. Neville said, "Your world is your consciousness objectified. So change your consciousness, not by effort, but by entrance." This rebirth is quiet. It happens in stillness. There is no trumpet, no crowd. You simply stop giving energy to who you were and begin to mentally clothe yourself in who you now claim to be. Speak from the new identity. Don't ask, what would she do? Act as if you are her. Don't wonder, how would he feel? Decide that you are him now, and feel it fully. Let the new state be so alive in you that your body language shifts, your energy shifts, your inner voice shifts, and then the outer world will reflect it. because it always does. To be born again is not to beg for change. It is to embody change in advance. It is to declare, I am, and watch the world say, yes, you are. 3. The power of self-forgetfulness. You must forget who you were, not by force, but by focus. You turn your back on the former state, and you look only at what you are now choosing to embody. You do not debate your old story. You drop it. You do not argue with the past. You replace it. Neville reminded us, man moves from state to state, as though he were moving from room to room in his house. You are not bound to one identity. You are the one who chooses which room, which state, to live in. The great illusion is that you are chained to a fixed self, that your identity is made of stone. But in truth, it is vapor, given shape only by your sustained attention. To forget the self you no longer wish to be is not an erasure. It is a liberation. You do not fix the past. You abandon it. You do not rehearse wounds. You revise them. And you do not wait for evidence to grant you permission to change. You give that permission to yourself. Neville taught that the key to transformation is not effort, but displacement. You displace the old concept of self with a new assumption, and the former identity fades into nothingness, not because you destroyed it, but because you no longer acknowledge it. To forget the former self is to stop feeding it with your story. Stop saying, this is who I've always been. Instead say, I now am, and complete the sentence as the person you choose to be. This act of forgetting is not amnesia. It is spiritual selection. You're not asked to battle your memories, only to deny them influence. Let the shadows pass through you without commentary. The moment you no longer feel the need to defend who you were, you're free to become who you desire. You must become ruthlessly loyal to your future self, more loyal to your vision than to your history. In truth, you are not bound to your past self, unless you choose to be. And if you are the chooser, then you are also the liberator. Forget who you were, forge who you now are, and let the world catch up to your new name. 4. Living in the end, embodying the new identity. The great secret is to live from the end, not think of it, but from it. Feel what it is to already be, to already have, to already know. You do not need the world's permission to be your future self now. You only need your own. Assume the wish fulfilled. Rest in it. Saturate your inner world with it. As within, so without. Living in the end is not a fantasy. It is a creative act, the highest form of prayer. It is not a plea to an external God, but a communion with the indwelling I am. You are not hoping that what you want will come. You are being the one for whom it already has. Neville made this clear. When you think of your desire, you are separated from it. You place it in the future. But when you think from it, you collapse time. You bring the end into the now, and the subconscious accepts that as truth. Ask yourself, if I already had it, if it were truly mine, how would I move, think, breathe, speak? Then do that, be that, now. Your task is not to make it happen, but to dwell in the state where it already has. That's what he meant when he said, live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The moment you do this consistently, you ignite unseen forces. Your world bends, rearranges, responds. Not because you forced it to, but because you finally aligned with the version of yourself that belongs in that world. Doubt comes when you return to the former self, when you leave the end and re-enter the middle. Don't do that. Stay in the end. Return to it whenever your mind wanders. Let the feeling of fulfillment be your home address. You are not waiting on results. Results are waiting on you. You must learn to live in such a way that your outer world becomes embarrassed for not yet reflecting the truth you already feel inside. The world is delayed only by your refusal to claim the end as now. So dwell in it, and watch everything else be added unto you. 5. Everyone is you pushed out. To truly transform, you must see the world differently, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Everyone around you is a mirror of your inner state. If you want them to treat you differently, don't wait. Shift your concept of self. Assume you are respected, adored, chosen, and soon, without effort or explanation, they will reflect your assumption. The grand illusion of life is separation, that others are outside of you, independent of your consciousness. But Neville taught the sacred and startling truth. Everyone is you pushed out. Every face, every interaction, every conversation is a perfect mirror reflecting the assumptions you hold within. When you believe you are overlooked, people pass you by. When you assume you are unworthy, the world seems to reject you. But when you claim your worth and feel chosen, life rushes to confirm it. This is not manipulation. This is manifestation. If you change your inner beliefs, they must, by law, respond differently. The rude boss softens. The silent partner calls. The friend who seemed distant suddenly becomes attentive. Why? Because you changed, and they reflect the new state you've entered. Follow Neville Goddard's script to change your life. Remember, you control your reality. Life must conform. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. V.